This week, we are talking about fasting. Today, I want to talk about something called diet variation or feast famine cycling. Over the last 100 years, when we've had electricity and more ability to have refrigeration, grocery stores went from being markets to you could buy anything anywhere from around the world. We kind of got away from this. Feast famine cycling was something that happened naturally because of the way the seasons occurred, where you lived in the world, and your ability to store food. This diet variation, where we go from feasting to fasting, is something that our bodies were used to doing. This diet variation mimics the abundance and the scarcity that our bodies were accustomed to for thousands and thousands of years. When we do this, it helps us to become metabolically more flexible. It really helps to balance our hormones. It also helps to prevent plateaus. When we stick with a certain diet for a while, or even stick with a certain kind of a fast for a while, we can hit a plateau where we feel like we saw great benefits and then all of a sudden not so much. What is some of the science behind feast famine cycling? When you are in a fasted state, the famine state, it's a calorie restriction. It reduces insulin production, obviously, because we're not taking in food. We don't have that rise in the blood sugar, so the pancreas doesn't have to send insulin out. It also increases norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is one of our happy, feel good neurotransmitters. After we get over the bluesy kind of stuff in the beginning of fasting, then we start to feel better. And fasting in a famine state helps to promote fat metabolism. In other words, we don't have that sugar for fuel. We start to use fat for fuel. Like I said before, it really does trigger autophagy or cellular repair. When we're in a feast state, we're refeeding, the caloric restriction is over, and we start to have more calories coming in. Then it starts to boost some of the anabolic hormones like IGF-1 that helps to stimulate growth and repair of tissue. It helps to replenish our energy stores. If we are a person that doesn't have a lot of fat stores, if the body doesn't have any fat to draw off of, there's a process called gluconeogenesis where the liver will take and pull fat stores from the muscle and turn it into glucose. And so we start to lose muscle. When we go in a feast famine cycle and we're a lean person, this feast state helps us to preserve our muscle. Metabolically, shifting between using fat for fuel and using glucose for fuel keeps us more flexible. It really helps to build our resilience and balance our microbiome. So, how can we do this? What are some strategies? The one that I do the most is a 5-1-1 cycle. 5 days a week, I'll do intermittent fasting. I will stop eating after 8 o'clock at night and I won't eat again until at least noon the next day. That feeding window then is from noon until 8. When I am eating, I'm trying to stay low carb. I'm in ketosis. And then I'm also doing things that are going to help feed my microbiome. Maybe a little bit of yogurt, maybe some water kefir or some kombucha. And then 1 day a week, I don't eat from dinner to dinner. That's called OMAD, 1 meal a day kind of fast, which is really important and something that we talked about already. It helps to increase autophagy and some of the other benefits. You can also do something called fasting mimicking, where you have that short eating window like your intermittent fasting, but you keep your calories really, really low, like less than 800 calories. There are some benefits. People who are more sensitive, maybe if you're diabetic and you're working your way into learning how to do a ketogenic diet and learning how to do fasting, the 1 day of the keeping a little bit of calories might be beneficial. Then 1 day, we call it our feast day. That's really where we are not in ketosis. We don't have a low carb, less than 50 grams of carbs. We eat more than 100 grams. That's our feast carb. Now, we're not going to go hog wild, but we are going to increase our carb intake, and that's going to help to bring that diet variation. We can also do the very same thing with a 4-2-1, where we do intermittent fasting for 4 days a week and 2 days where we do the OMAD or 1 meal a day or the very low calorie. Then we have one feast day. Now, I would recommend if you did that to maybe do 2 days of intermittent fasting, an OMAD day, 2 days of intermittent fasting, a feast day, and then an OMAD day, just to help with the diet variation and the metabolic switching. It depends on what your needs are and what you're comfortable doing, and also helps you to ease in so that you're easing your way into a fasting kind of lifestyle. By incorporating this feast famine cycle into your routine, it really can enhance your metabolic health, support your hormones, and help you to break the weight loss resistance cycles. I hope this information was helpful. We're going to talk about metabolic flexibility and hormones a little bit deeper than we did already. I look forward to seeing you there.